The names resonate with a particular weight in modern culture: Diddy, R. Kelly, Bill Cosby. These are men who once stood as titans in their respective fields, commanding stages, shaping industries, and influencing generations. Their careers were marked by undeniable success, wealth, and a level of visibility that few attain. Yet today, their legacies are irrevocably intertwined with serious legal accusations and, for some, incarceration. The public narratives surrounding them are complex, filled with disturbing allegations that have shocked and dismayed many who once admired their achievements and their cultural impact across the globe. The descent of these prominent black figures from celebrated icons to subjects of criminal justice proceedings has been a stark and often unsettling spectacle. For Diddy, recent federal charges related to sex trafficking and racketeering, with a trial looming in 2025, mark a dramatic turn. R. Kelly is currently serving a lengthy prison sentence following convictions on charges related to sexual abuse and exploitation. Bill Cosby, after a period of imprisonment for sexual assault, had his conviction overturned, but remains a figure shadowed by numerous accusations. The gravity of the claims against them cannot be understated, involving profound harm to individuals. However, amidst the widely reported details of their alleged crimes, some voices suggest a more intricate, perhaps more insidious narrative. These alternative perspectives do not necessarily absolve these men of wrongdoing, but question the completeness of the publicly accepted story. They ask whether other factors, beyond the specific allegations, contributed to their precipitous falls from grace. This line of inquiry probes the uncomfortable possibility that their influence, their challenges to established norms, or their ventures into new arenas of power may have played a part in their legal entanglements, creating a complex web of circumstances. This essay seeks to explore these less discussed dimensions, particularly through the lens of commentators like Dr. UMAR. The intention is not to dismiss the serious nature of the accusations these men face, nor to diminish the experiences of their accusers. Rather, it is to examine the arguments that their legal troubles are also interwoven with their status as powerful black men who, in various ways, may have disrupted existing power dynamics or challenged formidable entities. Understanding these cases requires a willingness to look beyond the immediate headlines and consider all contributing factors. Dr. Uma, a voice gaining traction in certain circles, offers a distinct and provocative interpretation of the legal battles faced by Diddy, R. Kelly, and Bill Cosby. He posits that the primary reasons for their downfall are not solely the egregious acts for which they stand accused or convicted. Instead, Dr. Uma argues that these men became targets because they accumulated too much power, dared to challenge entrenched interests, or sought to forge independent paths that threatened the status quo. This perspective shifts the focus from purely individual failings to a potential systemic response against black figures who achieve a certain threshold of influence. According to Dr. Uma's analysis, the severe legal repercussions faced by these individuals are, in part, a consequence of them flying too close to the sun. He suggests that when black men attain significant economic, cultural, or political leverage, they can inadvertently cross invisible lines, thereby attracting intense scrutiny and opposition from powerful, often unseen, entities. The criminal justice system, in this view, can become a tool to neutralize such perceived threats, with the specific charges serving as the visible mechanism for a less visible agenda. This is a challenging assertion, one that asks us to consider the landscape of power. This viewpoint urges a form of critical thinking that moves beyond the surface narratives presented by mainstream media. Dr. Uma encourages observers, particularly within the black community, to question why these figures, often after decades of public life, suddenly face career-ending legal battles. He implies that the timing and intensity of these prosecutions might be linked to specific actions they took that were perceived as overreach by existing power structures. It is a call to look for patterns and to consider motivations that are not always explicitly stated in court documents or news reports. Naturally, Dr. Uma's claims are controversial and are not universally accepted. They stand in stark contrast to the narratives focusing on victims' rights and the imperative of holding powerful individuals accountable for alleged abuses. However, his perspective injects a crucial element into the discussion: the role of power dynamics in the targeting of influential black men. It compels a deeper examination of whether the justice system operates with uniform impartiality when dealing with individuals who have both immense resources and the potential to disrupt established hierarchies in significant ways. Sean "Diddy" Combs, an undisputed magnate in music, fashion, and spirits, has recently found himself ensnared in a web of federal indictments. While the official charges detail racketeering and sex trafficking, Dr. UMAR offers a specific, alternative trigger for Diddy's intensified legal woes. He points to Diddy's initiative in co-founding a black-first political entity, Our Black Party, as a pivotal moment. This venture, aimed at empowering black communities politically and advocating for a specific black agenda, could be interpreted as a direct challenge to the existing two-party system and its established modes of operation. Dr. UMAR suggests that the formation of such a party, fronted by a figure with Diddy's immense cultural reach and financial resources, represented a significant potential disruption. A political party explicitly designed to prioritize black interests and leverage black electoral power could shift political landscapes and divert influence away from traditional channels. This move, therefore, might have been perceived as a step too far by those keen on maintaining the current political equilibrium. The argument here is that Diddy was not just an entertainer, but was attempting to consolidate black political power in a new, independent way. The creation of Our Black Party in 2020, though perhaps not widely known to the general public, signaled an ambition beyond mere celebrity endorsement. It was an attempt at structural political engagement. If Dr. UMAR's perspective holds weight, then Diddy's foray into organized politics, aiming to create a dedicated platform for black voters and their concerns, could have marked him as a more serious threat than his business or entertainment ventures alone. Political power, especially when independently organized, often invites strong countermeasures from those who benefit from the existing system's framework. Therefore, the timing of Diddy's escalating legal problems, culminating in his September 2024 incarceration pending trial, is viewed by Dr. UMAR not as coincidental, but as potentially linked to these broader ambitions. While the serious allegations against him form the public face of his downfall, the underlying narrative, according to this theory, involves his attempt to galvanize black political agency. This perspective asks us to consider if his actions in the political arena made him a target for forces wary of such mobilization and independent power building within the black community. Beyond his political aspirations, another significant action by Sean "Diddy" Combs is highlighted by Dr. UMAR as a potential catalyst for his legal troubles. His high-profile lawsuit against a powerful liquor company, Diageo. This legal battle, initiated by Combs, alleged racial discrimination and neglect of his liquor brands, Ciroc Vodka and De Leon Tequila, compared to other brands in the company's portfolio. Such a lawsuit was not merely a business dispute. It was a direct confrontation with a multinational corporation, challenging its practices and seeking substantial redress. This was a bold move, one that pitted a black entrepreneur against a giant in the industry. Dr. UMAR posits that by suing a major global entity like Diageo, Diddy was not just fighting for his brands, but was also disrupting the expected norms of corporate engagement. Powerful corporations often have extensive resources and networks, and direct challenges, especially those alleging racial bias, can be met with formidable resistance. The theory suggests that such a public and aggressive stance against a well-established company could have triggered a backlash, making Diddy vulnerable in other areas of his life and business operations. Such corporate battles can indeed become wars of attrition. The lawsuit represented a significant claim of economic injustice and a demand for equitable treatment in the corporate world. For a black businessman to accumulate the kind of wealth Diddy did, and then to use that leverage to challenge a global player on grounds of discrimination, is a noteworthy event. It could be seen as an act of defiance against systemic inequities within the business landscape. Dr. UMAR's perspective implies that this defiance may have contributed to an environment where Diddy became a more scrutinized and perhaps more vulnerable figure when other allegations surfaced against him. Consequently, the convergence of this corporate lawsuit with the timing of the federal investigations and subsequent charges against Diddy raises questions for those who subscribe to Dr. UMAR's views. Was this purely a case of a business dispute running parallel to unrelated criminal matters? Or did the act of challenging a powerful corporate entity contribute to a climate where Diddy's other alleged activities were pursued with greater vigor? This aspect adds another layer to the complex narrative surrounding his downfall, suggesting economic power plays. R. Kelly's career, long before his eventual conviction and imprisonment, was shadowed by persistent allegations of sexual misconduct. However, Dr. UMAR introduces another dimension to Kelly's story, suggesting that his legal fate was sealed, not only by the weight of these accusations, but also by his staunch refusal to sell his valuable music masters. In the music industry, ownership of master recordings represents significant financial control and artistic autonomy. For an artist of Kelly's commercial success, his catalog would be an immensely lucrative asset for any music company. According to Dr. UMAR's claims, R. Kelly's insistence on retaining control over his musical legacy, resisting offers from specific powerful music companies, was a critical misstep within the industry's unwritten rules. This refusal, the argument goes, put him at odds with influential players who stood to gain immensely from acquiring his work. The music industry, like many others, has its own power dynamics and expectations, and an artist holding on to such valuable assets independently could be seen as defying the established order of economic control and distribution of wealth from creative works. The value of a hit-filled music catalog like R. Kelly's is astronomical, encompassing royalties from sales, streaming, licensing for films, commercials, and more. For an artist to maintain ownership, particularly a black artist in an industry with a history of exploitative practices, is a significant act of economic self-determination. Dr. UMAR's perspective suggests that Kelly's refusal to part with this control, especially if a powerful entity was intent on acquiring it, might have removed a layer of protection, or worse, made him a target for retribution when his other vulnerabilities became undeniable. While the horrific nature of the crimes for which R. Kelly was convicted stands as the primary public reason for his imprisonment, Dr. UMAR's theory invites a consideration of these industry-specific pressures. Did his defiance in the realm of music ownership contribute to a situation where there was less industry support or even active efforts to ensure his downfall when the long-standing allegations finally gained full legal traction? It paints a picture where artistic and economic battles could have intersected with the pursuit of criminal justice, creating a more complicated scenario. Section 6. Bill Cosby, A Titan's Fall and Hidden Agendas. Bill Cosby was more than a comedian. He was an American institution, a television father figure who built an empire on a carefully cultivated image of wholesome family values. His conviction for sexual assault, later overturned on a legal technicality, shattered this image and sparked widespread debate. Amidst the numerous accusations from women, Dr. UMAR introduces a startlingly different alleged motive for Cosby's targeting, a supposed refusal to allow a major oil company to drill and mine crude oil on land he owned. This claim paints a picture of corporate interests clashing with individual property rights. This particular assertion by Dr. UMAR suggests that Cosby's legal troubles may have been exacerbated or even initiated by his unwillingness to cooperate with powerful energy sector entities. Ownership of land rich in natural resources can place individuals in direct conflict with corporations seeking to exploit those resources. If Cosby indeed owned such land and resisted its development for oil extraction, he would have been standing in the way of potentially billions of dollars in profit for a formidable industry known for its influence and aggressive pursuit of its objectives. The power wielded by major oil companies is immense, often shaping policy and influencing economic landscapes. An individual, even one as famous and wealthy as Bill Cosby, might find themselves in a perilous position if they directly obstruct such corporate ambitions. Dr. UMAR's theory implies that Cosby's refusal to permit drilling on his property could have made him powerful enemies, who then might have found common cause with or amplified the voices of those accusing him of sexual misconduct, leading to a more aggressive pursuit of charges. While the many accusations against Cosby form the primary narrative of his downfall, Dr. UMAR's claim about the oil dispute, if substantiated, would add a significant layer of intrigue. It raises questions about whether powerful economic interests played a role in the timing and intensity of the legal actions against him. It suggests that behind the very public moral failings, there might have been a less visible battle over resources and land, where Cosby's resistance to corporate desires made him a marked man, vulnerable when the wave of accusations crested. Section 7. The media prism: narratives woven and perception shaped. The media plays an undeniable and powerful role in how the public perceives high-profile legal cases, especially those involving celebrities accused of serious crimes. In the instances of Diddy, R. Kelly, and Bill Cosby, media coverage has been extensive, often focusing intensely on the graphic and sensational details of the sex crime allegations. This focus, while understandable given the nature of the charges and public interest, can inadvertently, or perhaps purposefully, overshadow other complex factors that might be at play, such as the alternative theories proposed by Dr. UMAR regarding power and influence. Dr. Uma's perspective is that this concentrated media attention on sex-related accusations serves a specific function. It distracts the public from what he considers the real underlying reasons for these men's troubles. By framing the narratives predominantly around sexual misconduct, the media, wittingly or unwittingly, helps to obscure the possibility that these figures were targeted for challenging powerful corporate or political entities. The sheer volume of coverage dedicated to the alleged crimes can make it difficult for alternative interpretations to gain significant traction or serious consideration among the general populace. The nature of news cycles, driven by ratings and clicks, often prioritizes stories that evoke strong emotional responses. Allegations of abuse and exploitation involving famous individuals are inherently compelling and generate widespread discussion. However, stories about complex corporate lawsuits, disputes over music rights, or resistance to land development deals might be perceived as less immediately engaging to a broad audience. This dynamic can lead to an imbalance in coverage, where the more salacious aspects dominate, shaping a public perception that is primarily, if not exclusively, centered on the alleged criminal behavior. This media environment makes it challenging for the average person to engage in the kind of critical thinking Dr. Uma advocates. When the narrative is overwhelmingly monolithic, focusing on the heinous nature of the alleged crimes, it becomes difficult to step back and question the timing, the context, or the potential involvement of other powerful forces. The media's gaze, therefore, acts as a powerful prism, refracting complex realities into more easily digestible but potentially incomplete stories that resonate widely but may not tell the entire story. Section 8. The calculus of power, when influence invites scrutiny. A disturbing pattern seems to emerge when observing the trajectories of Diddy, R. Kelly, and Bill Cosby. Their most severe legal challenges often appear to have gained momentum or erupted publicly precisely when their influence, wealth, or ambition reached new zeniths. This observation raises critical questions about the timing of these legal actions. Were these purely matters of justice delayed, with accusations finally catching up after many years? Or did the heightened status of these individuals somehow make them more conspicuous targets for takedown by various forces? Consider Diddy's ventures into political organization with our Black Party, or his bold lawsuit against a liquor conglomerate. These actions signified an expansion of his power beyond entertainment into realms that directly challenge established structures. Similarly, R. Kelly's reported refusal to sell his music masters represented a stand for economic autonomy in a powerful industry. Bill Cosby's alleged resistance to an oil company's plans for his land, if true, would have placed him in opposition to immense corporate power. These moments of asserting or expanding influence often preceded intensified legal scrutiny. This recurring theme compels one to ask, does achieving a certain level of power and influence as a Black individual in America inherently invite a more aggressive form of scrutiny or opposition? Is there a threshold beyond which success becomes perceived as a threat, triggering mechanisms to curtail that influence? The narratives surrounding these men, especially when viewed through Dr. Uma's lens, suggest that their legal troubles cannot be entirely divorced from their status and the challenges they posed, intentionally or unintentionally, to existing power dynamics within society. The question is not necessarily about innocence or guilt regarding the specific charges, but about the ecosystem in which these charges are pursued and amplified. If powerful individuals or entities felt threatened by the growing influence or specific actions of these black men, it is conceivable that pre-existing vulnerabilities or allegations could be exploited or pursued with greater fervor. This calculus of power, where increased influence might paradoxically lead to increased vulnerability, is a deeply unsettling prospect that demands careful and critical consideration. Section 9. Beyond the headlines, a call for discerning minds. The sagas of Diddy, R. Kelly, and Bill Cosby are undeniably multifaceted, woven with threads of immense talent, cultural impact, serious allegations, and profound personal and public consequences. To navigate these complex narratives requires more than a cursory glance at headlines or an uncritical acceptance of the most prominent storyline. It demands a commitment to discerning thought, an ability to hold multiple perspectives in tension, and a willingness to explore uncomfortable questions about power, race, and justice in contemporary America. Today on May 21st, 2025. Dr. Uma's perspective, while perhaps controversial to some, serves as a crucial catalyst for this deeper inquiry. His assertions that these influential black men faced legal ruin not solely due to alleged crimes, but also because they challenged powerful entities or grew too big, push us to consider systemic factors. Whether it's Diddy's political party and corporate lawsuits, R. Kelly's music masters, or Cosby's alleged land dispute, these claims highlight potential hidden battlegrounds where influence is contested and power is fiercely guarded by established interests. For the black community, in particular, these cases resonate with a historical awareness of how power structures have often been arrayed against black advancement and autonomy. This does not mean dismissing accountability for wrongdoing, but it does mean approaching such high-profile takedowns with a critical eye, questioning the timing, the narratives, and the forces that may be operating beneath the surface. It is an imperative to analyze why certain figures become targets when their influence crests, or when they venture into arenas previously considered off-limits. Ultimately, understanding the full story behind the legal troubles of figures like Diddy, R. Kelly, and Bill Cosby necessitates a rigorous and nuanced examination. It requires moving beyond simplistic narratives of good versus evil or victim versus perpetrator, to explore the intricate interplay of personal actions, societal structures, media influence, and the often unseen dynamics of power. Only through such critical inquiry can we hope to grasp the deeper lessons these troubling episodes may hold for the pursuit of justice and equality.